Oh, AI taking center stage at the ATxSummit in Singapore as leaders discuss what comes next for the technology as it transforms quickly. The focus is on how AI is being used as questions remain over trust and safety. CNA's Sarah Al-Khaldi is on the ground at the event. Good morning, Sarah. How's it hanging and what's standing out so far?
Yeah, well, Arnold, Singapore has updated its national AI strategy with refreshed priorities. It's focusing on activity drivers, infrastructure and environment, as well as people and communities. Now, to talk more about this, we have Josephine Teo, Singapore's Digital Development and Information Minister. She's also Singapore's Minister in charge of Smart Nation and Cybersecurity. Minister, thank you so much for giving us your time here.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for having me.
So a refreshed, updated national AI strategy. What's the main focus now to help support Singapore move on to the next phase of its AI efforts?
Yeah, we began to see that once the national AI strategy was put in place in 2023, there was a lot of momentum. And we learned a lot along the way, and we felt that now that the Prime Minister is chairing the National AI Council, we do need to refresh the way we think about each of the 10 enablers that were identified as part of NAIS 2.0. So this is really intended to be a double click. It's not a system reboot, but we want to be sharper in focusing on the areas that matter to help Singapore grow as a leading AI hub, and to ensure that AI adoption becomes much more widespread in our economy. So that was the reason for updating our priorities.
Yeah, security is a big concern now, and an even bigger concern, I would say, especially with the development of Mythos, which is the Anthropic's AI model that can identify cybersecurity vulnerabilities, but also exploit it. So with the level of the AI expertise now that is available, or at least has been reached in this world, how is this new capability kind of affecting how Singapore now approaches AI?
I think if we take a step back, the broader question is how does AI intersect with cybersecurity? We've always known that this was coming. And we've also always acknowledged that cybersecurity is a wicked problem. What it means is that you never fully resolve all the vulnerabilities. Once you address one set of risks, there's always another set of risks that you will have to deal with. The real question is how does AI impact this risk in cybersecurity? I think we can see that the risk surface has expanded considerably. AI essentially has made the scope, scale, speed and sophistication of cyber attacks so much more intense. So that's a reality we have to deal with. But that is how AI is impacting cybersecurity as a threat. AI itself can be the target of cyber attacks. So for example, multi-agent systems, if you are setting them up without enough guardrails, safety by design has not been incorporated well enough, then the agent system may behave in ways deliberately caused by bad actors against the way you intended them to behave. So that is how AI itself can be a target. What is less often talked about is how AI itself can be a tool to strengthen cyber defenses. If we are fighting against bad actors that are using AI, we ourselves must also be capable users of AI to defend, to seek out vulnerabilities, patch those vulnerabilities before the bad actors get to them. And very importantly, we can use AI to design systems that are more secure. So using AI as a tool to strengthen cybersecurity, be more, be more hardened in our defenses. I think that is an underexplored area, and that is the area that we are focused on.
Yeah, I know when we spoke here last year, right here at ATxSummit, you recommended for people who may be worried about their jobs to pick up basic AI skills. And now I know you're urging Singaporeans to be AI bilingual, so to know the language of AI and their own industry. So in your assessment, how are we doing in this area?
You know, when we were implementing the people enabler as part of our national AI strategy, we noticed that people understood how AI is a tool. Now, when you use a tool, you think about the fact that there is the tool maker. And when the tools are, say, for example, brought into the factory, there are people who set up the tooling. But ultimately, users must be able to take advantage of the capabilities that are embedded with the tools. And we know that you can have two different people using the same tools, producing very different results. And the idea of AI bilingualism is to recognize the fact that inherent within the tool user, there has to be a certain level of mastery. The more they know the tools, the more they also know the problems in their domain. They are able to identify where the process pain points are. They know the workflows that are not working as well as they should. Then the use of the tools become much more meaningful. And when we started talking about this, the surface of intervention, the groups of people that we can help suddenly increases multifold. So you're talking about people whose domain knowledge would be in accountancy, in legal, in finance, in technology itself, or in HR. Each of them understand their domain problems better than anyone else, certainly better than the tool makers. So by helping these tool users also understand how the tools can be built, can be modified to better suit their needs, I think we enhance their ability to make a bigger impact. And that's why this whole effort towards growing AI bilingual talent is gaining a lot of traction. Our Singaporeans particularly understand it because in our context, in our education, we all know that we have to learn a second language. It may not be a language that we're very comfortable with, and we don't expect everyone to become an expert, but we know enough for good daily use and for us to be more effective, when we have to use it. So that I think is the way we are approaching it. And I would also just like to say that we completely understand why people are sometimes very concerned whether AI is going to be used in such a way as to displace them. Really, I think there is another important factor to bear in mind. In the short term, it is tempting to want to slow down AI adoption so that we can wait and see, so that we don't have to put so much pressure on people to acquire not just basic skills, but slightly more advanced skills that can be used in their specific areas of functions. It is tempting to say slow things down. But what we have to remember is that there are companies that don't operate in Singapore and they are charging ahead. And if they open up a competitive gap with companies operating in Singapore, then inevitably our workers will also have to bear the brunt of the loss in competitiveness. So when we think about this, are we better off trying to be able to keep ahead of the curve and to also identify the job growth opportunities as a result of us becoming a much more vibrant AI hub, and therefore expand the opportunities that our workforce can tap into. I think that is the approach that we are taking.
And you mentioned about how people really have to embrace the tools, and you've also talked about companies needing to move from experimentation to now integration, AI integration, deployment to increase adoption and productivity as well. So what are you seeing, what are the barriers that you are seeing here in Singapore that are stopping some of these companies from just embracing AI?
Fear is a very big impediment. There is always a concern that I don't know enough. And taking the first step is very important. The other, I think, is that there is strength in numbers. If you see your competitors doing it, if you see your peers doing it, if you see that your suppliers are also using AI in a rather interesting way, that is a motivating factor. It encourages you to say, maybe I can try too. And I have sometimes described it as an IKEA moment. The tools themselves have to become easier to use. They have to, of course, incorporate safety features, but they have to be packaged and delivered in such a way as the ordinary user doesn't feel that the barriers are so high. That is part of the reason why OpenClaw was so successful. It was able to pull things together in such a way that even non-experts found that they could implement agent systems on their own. But there is an inherent challenge in that. What may be easy to use may not be safe enough to use. What we are trying to achieve in Singapore is to identify tools, solutions that are not just proven in terms of their effectiveness, but also have safety built into their design. So if we make available more of these, we have programs such as SME Go Digital that provides a foundation, and we have also schemes in place that will help us to identify the solution providers to package these and make them more readily available, more readily accessible. I think we have a better chance of enabling even small and medium enterprises as well as individuals to make headway.
Still a lot of work ahead, but I appreciate your time. And here at ATxSummit, Josephine Teo there, Singapore Minister for Digital Development and Information. And she is also the Minister in charge of Smart Nation and Cybersecurity. And stay tuned here. We have lots more to discuss and a lot of people to speak with here at ATxSummit. I'll be speaking with Albert Phelps. He's co-founder and director of research and development of Tomorrow. And that's on how companies can stay control of AI while scaling it. We'll also be speaking to Google's global head of government affairs and public policy, Karan Bhatia, on how governments can regulate AI while bolstering innovation. So a lot more throughout the day, but in the meantime, Arnold, it's back to you for now.
Sarah, thank you very much. Sarah Al-Khaldi reporting live from the ATxSummit here in Singapore.